Time. We're obsessed with it. It is our universal common denominator. It is the organizing principle of our lives, and most importantly, we only have so much of it. Time is valuable to us because eventually, everyone runs out. The invention of writing changed all that. Suddenly, words could persist not just across great distances, but long after their writer's death. But physicalizing words through writing bound them to the limits of the physical world. They had to travel physically in order to be read.
So there's some things that are really amazing about it, right? Mm-hmm. A really dear friend of mine, a writer friend of mine, she got a call from her elderly mother who lives 2 hours from her, and something about her mom sounded really off to her. And she was like, "Mom, I'm going to call you back on FaceTime." And so she called her back on the FaceTime and looked at it, and she could see just like that her mother had had a stroke because her face was like drooped on one side. And she was like, "Mom, I'm calling an ambulance for you. I'll meet you at the hospital." When you're having a stroke, 20 minutes is the difference between she will ever talk again or not, right? And so to be able to get her an ambulance right away and say, "My mother's had a stroke. Here she is. Here's her doctor. I'll see you there." You can set that in motion in 2 minutes, right? To try and do that 20 years ago.
From the telegraph and the telephone to the fax machine to the modern internet, our technology has focused obsessively on collapsing time. So it's 6:15 where you are and 9:15 where I am.
Exactly.
Yep.
This would be happening.
Technology. I know, it would be so strange if we were, I don't know, sending letters to each other and that was our only point of contact. Of course, as time collapses, so does distance. The concept of time zones, first standardized in the 19th century, is founded on the reality that as longitude changes, so does the time at which solar noon occurs. As communications between, say, New York and LA grew faster and faster, it grew harder and harder to ignore that 8 a.m. in New York is 5 a.m. in LA. And that collapse of distance is changing the way we think about relationships.
But on the other hand, I hardly write anybody anymore. And there is something about pouring your heart out on the page. That's kind of nice.
We had this giant math project, and we were Snapchatting each other with pictures of all the work we had done, and we're like, "I'm lost, and I think I got the right answer, but I have no idea how I got there."
Do you Snapchat your friends for homework pretty regularly, or while you're doing homework pretty regularly? I feel like you're like, you're doing homework alone in your room, but only sort of.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are always questions to be answered.
One of those questions is what it means to work in the 21st century. What happens to office culture when nearly all white-collar work can be done remotely? What does it mean to be coworkers with someone who lives in another time zone?
One of the things that's interesting and I think is true of a lot of remote working, is that they never see me working, and I never see them working. So when you're like all by yourself over here and they're all by themselves over there, it can be easy to think the worst of the other.
We need to remember that distance and time mean everything. That we are still humans living in a physical world ruled by time,